did it. I did a thing again. I did a thing I'm very proud of. I made yet another Enchantress deck, and I'm calling it StarBomb. I finally get to appropriately name a deck something cool. I was thinking of awesome names, and I'm like, what goes? What about the Nyx? Like, I want something that's enchanting. Maybe something with the Nyx. Like, the Nyx is like the night sky. Well, the sky is like falling. I could see something like that. But then I'm like, maybe like the stars are falling and striking people. God, like it feels like I'm dropping a bomb on my opponent when I play this. What do I call this? StarBomb. Oh, it's so perfect. I give on to you the world. StarBomb. Yes. So StarBomb is yet another Bant Enchantress deck. God, do I love this. And this deck, of course, we are playing our awesome, amazing Enchantress style Prism cards. We've got the Hobbles, the Journey to Nowhere, Katar's Desire, Temporal Isolation for that Flash, Journey to Nowhere for the conditionless removal. We have the Hobble for a 2-for-1, and Katar's Desire stops them from attacking early, and then over the course of the game, as we get more cards in our graveyard, this prevents them from blocking 2, so that means our beautiful creatures can get in. Now, the reason why it is called StarBomb is because of Ancestral Mask. Ancestral Mask is an enchantment for 2 and a green, enchantment aura, enchant a creature, and the enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield. So when we're stocking up on enchantments and just playing all of these enchantments that are sitting on the battlefield, and we're just adding our enchantment count, we would later play this one of, and then whatever creature that we attach it to suddenly becomes a 20/20. What would be great to attach this to? How about a creature from Bogles that is hexproof and can't be blocked except by creatures with flying? Wow, that almost seems like a great idea, to just randomly lock down all the creatures and out of nowhere win the game. This deck, it may seem like we're kind of skimming on the win conditions with Ancestral Mask, but that is why we have the Heliod's Pilgrim, which is a way to find the Ancestral Mask. It allows us to tutor for an aura and put it into our hand, making it a 2-for-1, kind of like Trinket Mage. This is not just a way for us to find our finisher and counts as additional copies of our finisher, but it's a way for us to find ways to look for things like Abundant Growth that we can end up using as a flicker and a value card to fix us. We also have ways to get another 2-for-1 on top of our 2-for-1 with the Hobble, making it a 3-for-1. So we get to end up locking down a creature, draw a card, and make a 1/2. We can end up finding these catch-up cards and cards that will essentially act as removal for us. Now, I did mention flickering. Core Skyfisher is here, and Core Skyfisher is a fantastic card that makes some decks way more powerful over the top as a kind of draw engine card. For 1 and a white, it makes a 2/3 flyer, which is already passing the vanilla test, doing a pretty good job, and we return a permanent we control to its owner's hand when it enters. Normally a bad thing, but with Abundant Growth, pay 1 green mana, draw another card. We also have things like Urban Utopia, but that's more of a backup. What we really want is cards like Omen of the Sea, which let us scry 2 and draw another card, being a kind of cantrip for us. Or Omen of the Sun, a great way to help us catch back up in the game against more aggressive decks, giving us those 2 blockers, gaining us 2 life, holding them off, and can help us turn around a game. Our last creature, Nexus Warden, is a constellation creature that you've probably seen me show on this channel before in the last 2. 2 and a green, a 1/4 reach. The constellation ability, whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under our control, we gain 2 life. So with 26 enchantments and us flickering them, or returning them to hand and replaying them, we're ending up gaining 2 life repeatedly and a lot. Altogether, this deck plays a lot like Kuldotha Boros or Mardu, the Mardu version of it. it's actually a really fun deck, and you end up getting to play a little bit more removal. We're more removal heavy and removal centered, and we're more so looking to find a Silent Ledgewalker later in the game after we've sort of reached a point with our opponent where we're at parity, and then play the Ledgewalker on tap on our turn, the turn after, and using Ancestral Mask that we've already found, or using a Heliod's Pilgrim to find the mask, we then play it to the Ledgewalker. Our opponent says, "Whoa, is that a 21/21 hexproof creature that can only be blocked by flying?" And we go, "Yes, of course, it's a 20/20 flying creature with hexproof, comparable to Merit Lodge. We get basically a Merit Lodge in Pauper, and this is why I love this deck so much. We're dropping what is essentially a Merit Lodge bomb on our opponent. And this is arguably harder to interact with because it's hexproof versus cards with indestructible like actual Merit Lodge. Although this does require a little bit more setup. Definitely a little bit more setup. On to our mana base. Our mana base for a 3-color deck is actually pretty interesting, pretty good. You might see this color wheel and just think, oh, well, this is a little skewed and a little bit off. But remember, TopOut.net does not actually notice things like the abundant growth and the utopias, the urban utopia, which make our lands able to tap for any of the colors. So we actually see way more color sources than it would actually appear. And it's the reason why we have the 9 forest starting off. We want the ability to early cast Abundant Growth or Urban Utopia, fixing us very early. But we're not totally reliant on that, on just finding those 6 cards. We also have Evolving Wilds, and we do have some of these Khans duels. 2 of the Blossoming Sands, 2 of the Tranquil Cove. I felt it was rather important to find blue, because it's really heartbreaking to just see a couple of Omens of the Sea in your hand. Plus, since we are playing a lot of basics and some of these gain life lands, I wanted to include the Sanctuaries to help us gain a little bit more life off those. I was considering the Radiant Fountain like you might see in Kodaltha Boros, but I didn't want to stretch it too much. I felt like it might be pushing it a little. You can go ahead and try with that on your own, but I personally think that this is a good place to be for this. Now, the Evolving Wilds, we do have one of each kind of basic that we would want, so these do help us actually find any of these. So our sideboard, the main things that I guess we are afraid of would probably be Electrickery for tokens and for elves. The tokens and elves are a huge problem because having lots of early targets to remove and lots of creatures with abilities are an issue for us. Most of our removal does not actually take out the creature's abilities. We're more so using them to stop our opponent from winning the game until we can either punish them and beat them down with our court Skyfishers or one-shot them. The Electrickery is a great way to throw the game way into our favor. I almost wanted to put it as a 4-of, but I didn't want to invest in it too highly. Now, Curse of Oblivion is a good one for the Graveyard decks and for the Delver decks, which we also do have access to 6 red sources in our deck. So having Pyroblast and Electrickery is actually something that is fine for us. I think that it's perfectly acceptable to have the 2 Pyroblasts. It's thinkable, it's reasonable to consider having a 3rd one. Hydroblast for burn and the aggro red matchup. A great way to get a little bit of a tempo gain with this as an unconditional removal spell. Well, when you're against a red deck, it's unconditional removal spell. Calming Verse is for Bogles, but we have to top out, and it becomes a one-sided wrath spell for all the enchantments that we don't control, as long as we are tapped out when we cast this. And Ray of Revelation is a good one to pick off random stray enchantments that our opponent might be using or playing against us. The Weather the Storm is for more aggro and for burn. Spreading Seas is a great one for Tron. I keep talking about Tron every time, but God, you know, I feel like there needs to be something for Tron. Probably gonna keep looking into sideboard options, keep trying. I have this here specifically to show you an example within Enchantress to fight Tron that isn't technically land destruction. It's something that I feel is necessary and can actually help screw with the 5-color greedy decks that are like not using all the fixing in the world, and they're heavily invested into 5 colors. This can really screw with them if they're not super invested in blue. That is the deck, but remember, there is a ton of stuff down here in the maybe section. These are a lot of the cards that I thought about maybe putting in that didn't quite make it, and will probably be featured in other decks that I'll be making in the days to come. If you like watching me make Enchantress decks or want to see me make anything else, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to share this with a friend who might also enjoy this. And you can go ahead and make your own copy of this deck on tappedout.net right now. I'm not sponsored by them, but I do enjoy this. Or actually, if you like watching goofy dudes do goofy stuff, you should type in StarBomb on YouTube and just listen to StarBomb. It's really good. It's a bunch of little video game music and goofy songs. That's all for this video. Coming in for that face touch.